So as you may or may not know, in the last couple of weeks I've been trying to work on my microphone quality because there have been a couple of complaints recently about that. Most recently when I released the episode on Stormbreaker, but especially when I play it back through my TV, I really noticed this. I didn't really notice this through my earphones very much. I think that might be because they were perhaps maybe modifying the sound so it sounded more even in that respect, but there was a very noticeable quality difference, I think, between the quality of my voiceover narration on the PANASONIC SD90 camera that I've had since 2012 and Dom's voiceover narration that he recorded on a Blue Yeti. And I've had this camcorder for quite a long time now, and one of the reasons that I did buy it is because it had a mic input, but I've never really use that properly, and I figured that since so many people are using microphones now, I should maybe try and be a bit more professional in that regard, but I don't really have the budget to go all out on a microphone. And I wasn't sure if it was something that I wanted to continue doing, so I just sort of tentatively tried to branch out in that area by getting two quite well-regarded budget microphones. Now I started off by getting this COMICA CVM-V30, and I've already tried that, I think, a week or two ago, and I wasn't hugely impressed with it, I have to say. I'll probably put some tests in this video so you can see what I'm talking about, but this is a microphone that cost me about 37 quid. Both these microphones came from China, and they were very difficult to get out because they bloody wrapped them in bloody tape. But this microphone comes with a windshield or a dead cat, but it sheds terribly. It requires two AAA batteries to operate, and this microphone clips onto the top of my camera's hot shoe. It has a hot shoe that's actually connects to an external port on the back of it. It has a low pass filter. It has a 10 decibel gain on it if you needed that. But really, I think the results of this, as I discovered, is that it was equivalent, if maybe actually worse, than the onboard mic that you're hearing right now that I'm recording this opening segment with. I thought it sounded very thin by comparison, and I was quite disappointed with that, but I think maybe I should have done a little bit more homework. I mean, this was generally quite well reviewed, but I think there is a definite difference between people using DSLRs, which are notorious for having very poor mic quality because that's not really what they're intended to do. They're not really solely intended for videos, but a lot of people use them for videos, and camcorders, and so I decided, okay, maybe I got a duff one, maybe I should go with something a little bit better, and what really attracted my attention was one that was actually cheaper, ironically. So just arriving today is the Takstar SGC-598, and this has been exceptionally well reviewed. There have been numerous videos that I've seen that have compared it to the Rode shotgun mics, Rode being, of course, the ones that are most popular with vloggers and such. So I figured, okay, this is a cheaper alternative. I'm still being quite tentative here. I might have been burned once. We're going to see how this fares. Now, I've already done a couple of brief tests, but I've already noted a couple of things about this microphone that I don't think those other reviews have really pointed out very much, but I'll get to that. So the other thing that's a bit of a problem with my camera, which has really put a dent in this idea to a certain extent, is that when it's powered by the AC like it is now, if you put a mic in the 3.5mm jack it has terrible shielding in it. This is the first real significant problem I've ever had with my camera. This, as I've said, I've used this for years and really had no significant problems with it. This is a major design fault, and the reason I mention this is because this is apparently on every single Panasonic camcorder that has this feature. Every single one of them, I checked their manuals, and they all feature the same disclaimer that this one has, that if you plug it in with the AC power connected, you will get a buzzing sound, and it's a terrible buzzing sound. It literally just goes right into the microphone and it's completely unusable. And I don't claim to be an audiophile by any means. This video is purely for you comparing how the microphones sound and whether I should proceed with this any further or whether or not I should just continue with the audio that I already have and just settle with that. So, without further ado, I'm going to disconnect the AC power. I've got the battery plugged in at the back. I'm going to put the microphone in the jack, turn it on, and I'm going to talk about the microphone with it recording. Okay? And go. So I did some tests with the microphone and it seemed like I needed to reduce the gain on it when I plugged it in, so I've tried to do that on this camera, but I've turned off the automatic gain control, so maybe it's too hot of a signal coming through right now, which would be really unfortunate. But the real thing that seems to be a problem is the noise floor. There's such a serious buzzing sound underneath everything, so I'd need to remove that with Audacity. I'm just going to be silent for a second so you can hear that properly. Actually, I'm having to record a bit of an update because I discovered while I was doing this, I was going to record a quick clip for you of the buzzing sound, just while it was on charge. But it turns out that if you have the battery plugged in and the AC power, the battery actually cleans up the dirty AC power sound that you can hear, so there's no buzzing, which is a very bizarre fix to that glitch. I'm not sure I really want the battery in my camera the whole time. That was why I often, didn't have it in there, but I guess that's going to be the solution. I mean, I'm thankful I discovered that. Incidentally, I've turned down the gain on the camera even further because that first test I did I think is still a little bit too hot. I originally turned it down to -12. I've since turned it down to -16, I think I have now. And it sounds better, it sounds a lot more normalised. Okay, what also comes with this is a little felt bag that you can put it in. It comes with a very basic foam windshield, and it comes with some replacement parts for the shock mount. It doesn't come with a wind muff or a dead cat like the other one does, but considering the other one was so cheap and so nasty, maybe that's probably a good thing, because you're probably better off buying an actual one. But I want to see what people think about the audio quality that I'm getting right now. I'm aware that my battery is just about to die and I'm going to need to charge this camera up, so that's unfortunate, but when I come back I'm going to plug in the COMICA so you can see what that sounds like as well, and then we're going to go back to the camera's onboard microphone. So this is the COMICA microphone. This is actually the third time that I've done this test. I previously did a version of this video where I'd set it to exactly the same gain levels as I'd set the Takstar at -18. Instead, I decided to set it at -12. That seemed more fair representation, because if I set it at -18, the sound was very low by comparison, so the Takstar obviously is a much louder output from the microphone than this one, but I wanted to give it a fairer test by comparison, so trying to get the equivalent audio levels so you can really get a sense of what the quality is like. But in general, I think that the COMICA sounds a lot thinner. It doesn't have that richness of sound that the Takstar does. I think that the Takstar does a better job of actually recording the audio from the surroundings. In general, I think that both of these are very similar to each other. They're both very similarly featured in a number of respects. They both have a light that indicates the power being on the back of them, and they change colour when the battery's low. They both have a 10 decibel gain increase if you need that, which I really don't think you do if you have the Takstar, because it's already so loud coming out of the box. And you also have a low pass filter on both of them, but I haven't turned any of those on in these tests because I wanted to get the raw audio in general, because I think that's a better sense of what the quality of the mics actually are. So I haven't done any post-production filtering or faffing with them aside from what I've already pointed out in the captions. So in general, I think that the Takstar may actually be better than the COMICA, but I just want to confirm my suspicions with a more accurate test. So which of these two microphones is better? Well, it's very easily the Takstar by a huge margin. The COMICA sounds far thinner and it has a very prominent buzzing sound even when I adjusted the gain in the camcorder, so it obviously wasn't a problem with the camera boosting the audio that is inherent to this microphone, and that's a huge disadvantage considering that this is actually more expensive than the Takstar. The Takstar also seems better built, it's far sturdier, as you can see by comparison. This one looks flimsier even though it's a fatter microphone, and the only advantage that this has is that it comes with the dead cat, the wind muff, and even then that's not really an advantage because it's so cheap that they might as well not have bothered. It sheds everywhere. I keep reiterating this, but it really does. It's appallingly bad. You might as well buy this and buy a separate one like I did, and it would still probably come out cheaper than buying this microphone by itself with all the things that come with it. And this one actually came with the battery to power it. This one didn't. I had to provide them myself. So that, by comparison, really shows that this one is the much better option if you're looking for a budget microphone. If you're a person that's starting out or is just gingerly like I am moving into external microphones, this is the far superior option. This is the one that will give you the sound quality that you want. As far as this versus the onboard microphone, however, that's actually a surprisingly close race to my ear. I think the Takstar sounds slightly more defined, but even so, it's not very much in it. There's pretty much a hair in it, in my opinion. Or maybe that's just me, but I want you to let me know in the comments which sounds better. The segments recorded with the onboard microphone like I have right here with the auto settings, or this, which I've obviously fiddle around with the gain to try and get the optimal audio without it distorting too much. So I want you to decide whether the onboard microphone or the Takstar is better and which I should proceed with in the future. Until next time, choose wisely.